All right, welcome back into OTB. It's Tuesday. It's 7:30, so you know what that means. We're joined now by the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers. Of course, we're talking about Coach O. Coach, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, guys. Great to be on the show.
All right, Coach. So in the last 2 years, let's go ahead and start in the NFL draft. 21 players selected from LSU. That is a record, and I know you've got to be proud, one, of the 21 guys, but what a story you can tell everyone saying, hey, look at what we've done. 21 guys over the last 2 years. You come here, you're going to play in the NFL.
No question. We use it for recruiting, and, that's what we went into the homes and told everybody. Jamal, his family was so appreciative at the draft. Say, Coach, everything you told us in recruiting happened. And it's like that with most of our recruits now. Some of them went, lower than expected. But you know what? The big thing is just get there. Once you get there, make the team and have a great career. Jake, you know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you get there, kind of the draft grade and the draft round for the most part, coaches, coaching in the NFL, that kind of goes to decide it's what can you do. You can be a 6th-round pick, Coach. If you make those 2-3 plays in training camp, they don't really care where you're selected.
Exactly right. So everybody has an opportunity. I'm glad all the guys, they're great young men, great families. I know they're excited. I talked to most of them. They can't wait to get to work.
All right, Coach. So with that being said, 21 guys, obviously 14 from a year ago, 7 from this draft. But what's crazy is when you peel back the layers, yes, 7 guys drafted that won't be on the team this year, but you only have 33 games played from those 7 players. You got 10 from Jacoby, you got 10 from Jabril Cox, you've got 7 from Terrace Marshall, and 6 from Racey McMath. So losing 7 guys, but only losing 33 games of productivity on the field, that's kind of hard to do. So that's a good sign for this team moving forward.
Yes, it is. Although those guys were very good players, did a lot for LSU. It's not like the year before where we lost all those guys that went to the NFL. And the COVID rule really helped us getting the offensive line and defensive line back. I think that was a big plus for us.
Hey, Coach, this is Matt Musso. I wanted to ask you about an individual guy in Tyler Shelvin going to the Bengals, of course, reuniting with some former 2019 teammates there. But Shelvin's a guy whose career at LSU has been well chronicled. He just improved tremendously each year, really hit his peak there in 2019 before opting out due to the pandemic. What do you think it just says for a guy like Tyler Shelvin who has never quit fighting and has now found his way to the NFL?
I'm so proud of Big T. The one thing I asked him when he told me he was opting out, I said, okay, I'm going to support you. That's your system. I want you to lose weight. I don't know how big he was, but he was over 380 for sure. And when he came to his pro day, I think he was right at 350. So I know he was working out. He looks good. I think Cincinnati is a great spot for him with Jamar and Joe there. They got a great program there. If they wanted him, he's excited. He's hungry. I think he took it very well.
Yeah, and Coach, you just said, Joe's there, Jamar's there, now Thaddeus Moss is there as well in Cincinnati. And I can just tell you, I had an LSU teammate when I got drafted into the NFL. Buster Davis was already on the team, and that can go a long way. That can help you because it's a different time. You're moving somewhere that you're not familiar with, and I think for Tyler especially, that is a really good thing for him to have the franchise quarterback and the number 1 pick be his college teammates, and they can kind of all stay together and help each other out.
Yes, and show him the ropes. And Jamar's going to need it too, but that's what Joe is. Joe's a leader, so. He's got 2 great players. I know he wants them to play well. He's going to show them the work. Those guys are going to learn together. Can't wait to watch the Bayou Bengals.
All right, Coach, before we move on from the draft and we talk about this year's team, how about this number? The SEC had 65 guys drafted. The next closest conference was the Big Ten at 44. But, of course, I'm not telling you anything that you don't see every time you turn on the tape to get ready for an opponent.
Everybody wants to come to the SEC. Not everybody. Most people have. A lot of great coaches here, a lot of great players, very great area to recruit in the South. And, we compete at a high level here. This is just like a notch below playing in the NFL. So guys get developed. Great coaching staffs, as you guys know, across the SEC. That's why they come here.
Coach, that's factual when you say that because I can tell you personally, the jump from high school to college was greater for me than the jump from college to the NFL because I just remember – playing in the NFL, my first couple of preseason games, it's like, hey, I know you played you on Saturday, played you on Saturdays, played you on Saturdays, and that is like factual. And when you get that opportunity to play against these guys every single Saturday, the jump isn't as great than when you're going from high school at Evangel Christian trying to play at LSU.
That's right, and you're looking at practice, right, Jake?
Yeah.
That's practice. You're going to get some All-Americans, some first-round draft choices. Sometimes practice is harder than the game.
Hey, Coach, there's no disrespect. There's no walk-ons. This is a deal when you're playing, when you're practicing in the NFL. That guy was probably an All-American in some conference. It's on the practice squad there. So you're exactly right. There's no off days there.
No, you got. You know what? As you know, you got to be mentally tough. I was talking to Eli Manning the other day and Peyton Manning, and those guys are usually great guys, but they played so long in the NFL. And the thing I got out of them, first, great people, but their mental toughness, and you need that. You know that you play in the NFL.
All right, Coach, as we kind of move forward and we start talking about this year's team, what's the schedule look like? I know this is a little bit of a downtime, which I'm sure you are getting everything ready for recruiting now that dead period has finally been lifted for the beginning of June. So what's the schedule kind of looking like for the month of May?
As far as recruiting, we're FaceTiming our recruits. We have some official visits set in the weekends of June. We have our camp set. Most of our guys are coming to camp. Most of our guys are responding. We're having a great response right now. We have a very good recruiting class, and we're going to continue to get better. And then our coaches are also doing self-scout. And as you know, Jacob, self-scout's like beating yourself up.
Yeah.
You go in there, we're not doing this right, we're not doing this right. But I want you guys to look at us first, fix LSU first, before we move on. Then next week, we've got 3 weeks of self-scout. Then next week, we're going to move on to UCLA.
Coach, when that recruiting dead period finally gets lifted, which it seems like it's been about 2 years, it's only been about one, how excited are you going to be that first day you can have kids back on campus?
It's going to be great. You know, that's one part about being at LSU, that you can recruit great players and meeting the parents and having relationships. I'm just excited on the weekend that we can have these guys over, show them our new facility. We haven't had a recruiting weekend with our new facility yet. I think these guys will love everything we're doing.
And not only that, not only being able to show them, Coach, we've talked about it, showing them all the new trophies and a new facility, which obviously that stuff all plays, and showing them the NFL wall that we just talked about with all the guys being drafted. But also, I know that you put a big emphasis on coming to camp and showing out against the best, right? It's the best on the best. And there's been guys who have earned scholarship offers in that camp. There's been guys that have not been offered because of that camp. And I know that it's something that you like to use as maybe one of your biggest evaluation tools.
It is. And, you got to compete. You got to get your guys to camp. Check this out. Austin Thomas did this study. Out of 22 starters on our championship team, 19 came to camp.
Yeah.
A couple of guys were transfers, graduate transfers that they couldn't. So, it gives us a chance to evaluate them. It gives them a chance to know us. I got some great new coaches. I want them to see these coaches. I want to see their enthusiasm. It's a definite advantage for us.
Coach, I know this might shock you, but I was a guy that might not have been the most impressive in like a T-shirt and shorts, and so I had to go to camps to be able to show, what I could do, like 101 with linebackers and pass routes and all those type of things, because that's where, for me personally, like I had to prove it. I had to prove that I could go best of the best, because you have that opportunity to go out there and compete.
That's right. All these measurements and all these rankings, they're good. All that stuff is good. But you know what? Who's a football player? And that's what we find out in camp. Now, Jacob, I got to tell you, I passed right near you in advance of recruiting. You know that, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
I said, who's that guy? Who's that guy? I soon found out who you were.
Hey, you did come in, though. You did come in and get a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, I did. A great family. What a great family, man. I wish I'd have got you a promise.
All right, Coach. Hey, we always appreciate the time. It's always so much fun to catch up with you, and go enjoy this recruiting that you're finally being able to do now with this dead period finally being lifted.
Thank you, guys. Your show is great. Go Titans.
All right, there he is, Coach O, the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers. I can't imagine. So, obviously, we know Coach O loves to recruit. Like, there's coaches that do it out of necessity, and then there's coaches that thrive in it, and Coach O is one of those guys. He mentioned it. Like, I remember him coming to campus when he was with USC. He got John David Booty, our quarterback, to go from Shreveport all the way out to California. I mean, he is someone that's one of his favorite aspects of it, and not to be able to do that for basically a year, only being able to do it on Zoom. I mean, he signed players, Moose, that he never met before.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We're talking about the high school kids that can come in now for camps here in June, getting to see the facility, but what about the players from this class who are already committed, already signed, who haven't made it to campus yet because they weren't in early enrollees? They haven't even gotten really to see the facilities yet, so they're going to get to show it off to them for the first time too. Coach O being such just an energy guy, oh man, that first camp is probably going to be.
I might feel bad.
I mean,
for the ones that
he's going to be so ready.
He is, and this is in something that I'll probably ask him next week when we have him on. this is such an important year for Louisiana.
Yes.
Because this is one of those Louisiana classes that you want to hit the clean sweep, and they've already started off getting the top 3 guys, all 5-star guys, and you're getting them from different parts of Louisiana, different positions, one being a quarterback, one being an offensive lineman, which, as we know, that's one thing this state doesn't produce a lot of is offensive tackles. You go up and you have one committed from Neville, a place where you've lost a couple of recruits to other schools. This class is important. They've done a really nice job so far getting the top 3. Out of the top 10, I would say that they probably want to accept the commitment of 8 of them. And if they can get those top 8, with this being an all-time Louisiana class that we see every so often, right? This year, big for camps and LSU.
Huge. Massive. Can't be overstated. And, it's – but what's been great about their approach in recruiting is they've shown that when it's maybe a little bit of a down year in Louisiana, they have that wide net now as well, like last class. You had some stud guys in Louisiana, but it wasn't close to, everybody's pointed to 2022 is the class in Louisiana where they can build up there and they don't have to cast that wide net. What was it until, it was really late in the cycle and they only had 2 guys from Louisiana signed in the whole class and they had about 15, 16 commitments. So, they're sitting pretty over there in the recruiting department at LSU.
Did you see the latest numbers? And I think it was my guy Mark Cumbie that pointed it out on Twitter. Per capita, Louisiana, like per million people, Louisiana has 8 NFL players, and that was double the next closest, the Mississippi, which had 4. So there's always been talent in Louisiana, and when you have a big talent pool like it is this year of elite talent, you have to go hit a home run, and so far LSU has done that. All right, since we do have the Moose here, since Moose is Musso at the box, we do need to do a deep dive into LSU baseball. We mentioned it in headlines, a gigantic series against the Auburn Tigers on the road this week. We'll talk about that with Moose when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.